When asked to think about where I want my career to go, my brain started to spin. I started to ask myself, what am I capable of doing? What position would be best fit for me? Until I realized my career is my choice. I want a position where I can lead, inspire, and love what I am doing in the process. And you know what those goals led me to? An artistic director. The artistic director that caught my eye was John Dias of Two River Theater. He received his bachelor's degrees in biology and theater at George Washington University and was on track to attend medical school. After being exposed to and enjoying literature and playwriting courses in college, he realized he wanted to further his theater knowledge and pursue it as a career. As he began to research different graduate schools, he developed an interest in dramaturgy as it synthesized all the interests he had. He attended the University of Massachusetts, obtaining his MFA in dramaturgy focusing on new play development. While in school, he was offered a literary management and dramaturg position at the Hartford Stage Company in Connecticut. While working at the Hartford Stage Company, he met George Wolfe, who was working at the Public Theater. Eventually, he hired Mr. Dias to work at the Public as a dramaturg, and he ended up staying there for 12 years. He was part of the new play development department and eventually became the head of the department. It was here that he realized the other skills he was developing, such as an advocate and producer. Mr. Dias was offered the associate producer position, which became his first leap out of dramaturgy. In this position, Mr. Dias had a hand in moving several shows to Broadway. After 10 years, he pondered leaving his position and pursuing producing full-time. A play titled Well was his breakthrough and ended up being the first play produced on Broadway by an open lesbian. After trial and error, he ended up back at the Public for 2 short years. After leaving, he created the Playwrights Realm to produce plays by emerging writers which still exist today. This made him realize he could possibly become an artistic director, and soon after began receiving phone calls from headhunters. From these calls, he got a call in to interview with Two River Theater and has been there ever since. Up until March of 2020, Mr. Dias would be in show mode every week, dealing with casting, marketing, designs, and the overall process of a production. Working from 10 to 6 p.m., he would check in on rehearsals and/or previews, take notes, discuss with the team, and then do it all over again at the next rehearsal until opening night. During the age of a pandemic, typical routines have been turned upside down. For Mr. Dias, one thing stays the same. He is still in the office every day running weekly Zoom meetings regarding fundraising, marketing, and development. No matter the circumstance, the staff of Two River is continuously working every day to strengthen the message they strive to provide for the public. An artistic director faces new challenges every day. Not only do you oversee different departments, you also have to be involved in all aspects. Mr. Dias informed me that to be able to participate in the conversations that take place, you need to be aware of the language they use daily in each department, such as human resources, budgeting, and fundraising. Mr. Dias' favorite part of his position is being able to work with the writers and actors. He loves being able to provide a space in which artists are supported in discovering themselves and their message. He dislikes the constant pressure that he is put under during season planning time. He wants to do all the projects, but unfortunately it comes down to deadlines and limitations. When asked about his short-term goals, he immediately responded with getting through the pandemic. He then elaborated that he would like to figure out how we can use this current situation to our benefit. How can we take these developments in theater and technology to help starving artists out of work? He wants to discover possible solutions to make these short-term goals a reality. When discussing long-term goals, he expressed wanting to find new ways to deal with systemic challenges. Equity, diversity, inclusion, representation, and justice around racism, sexism, and classism are just some of the issues he put forward. If we want to be leaders in change and evolution, we need to start leading the charge to being actively equitable and anti-racist. With being interested in the same career path, I asked Mr. Dias if there were any words of wisdom he could provide me with. He encouraged me to be as curious as possible in the artists and audiences that you want to serve and engage with. Find whatever opportunities are in front of you and soak up those experiences, while also collaborating and networking. Rewinding time is not possible, and you do not get many do-overs in life. Although Mr. Dias believes that his career happened the way it did for a reason, his one do-over would be figuring out how to balance work and life much sooner. For years, he wanted to learn as much as he could, but eventually that led to burnouts. He wishes he developed this sooner, but believes his experiences were the best teacher overall. One of my biggest questions for Mr. Dias was, how do you become an artistic director? Where do you start in order to reach that goal? He explained that you have to start by being willing to be involved in all areas of the theater. whether that ranges from being aware of the soap in the bathroom all the way up to producing a show. Make yourself seen. He received some of the most important skills in grad school. His background in dramaturgy introduced him to being involved in all aspects of production. During his education, there were no artistic director programs of study. It was clear that Mr. Dias is adamant about MFA programs needing to include training for producing in the industry, which could help those that are interested in the artistic director field. Even though Mr. Dias has years of experience, he still struggles with making hard decisions and following his instincts. When looking back, there are many times that he realized he didn't follow his gut due to being persuaded by outside forces. This explains his most important leadership lesson learned, which is being confident in yourself and your choices. When asked about the most influential person in his career, the quickest answer was George. George is still the most powerful model that he is aware of, whether it be in a positive or negative light. Mr. Dias expressed that he has learned a lot from both the wonderful experiences, but also the complicated and judgmental experiences as well. Let's learn some fun facts about Mr. Dias. He and his dog Sasha attempt to go on 5-mile walks almost every day. He also loves to garden and almost went to graduate school to become a botanist. Crazy, right? I couldn't end the fun facts without talking about his favorite food to make. He revealed that his comfort food is pasta with red sauce. Two simples, but his absolute favorite. After this interview, I realized how important it is to work towards your goals while also letting life lead you on a path that you may not envision yourself on. Taking advantage of any opportunities to learn is something that you should never deny. I will never be able to thank Mr. Dias enough for giving me the opportunity to learn from his experiences. I truly hope one day to be half the accomplished leader that he is.